Hey everybody, Dieter Bone here for Trio Central, and we are watching hands-on of the Palm Pre. You can see a short swipe is a back, a long swipe switches between your open cards, basically your open applications, and so it's very easy to switch back and forth. Just a short swipe to go back, like a back button, long swipe to switch through cards. You can also scroll up and hold to get to that quick list, that wave, which is very cool. Basically replaces hard buttons on the front of the device. And you can see you can hit the center button there to get a list of thumbnails of all of your cards so that you can swipe through them, see what's open. And they're all live, so you can always see everything that's going on. On the side you've got volume buttons, of course, and on the top you have got a power button and also the classic Trio ringer switch, which is good to see. 3.5mm headset jack next to that. Bottom is clean. Over on the right side we have our micro USB charging port, which is under a pretty tough to access door. Probably they want people to use the touchstone to use that, to access that instead. And then of course you slide it up, you have a keyboard. It's very similar to a Trio Pro keyboard, a little bit more widely spaced, a little bit tackier, but generally just a little bit better. It uses the same technology that they used to create the Trio Pro keyboard and the Centro keyboard. Very similar to the other keyboard. There is a new at button by default. And you can see it's got that nice curvature when you hold it sideways, so you can hold it up to your face and it feels very good. On the back, of course, you've got a big speaker. You've got that shiny part at the top, and you notice there's no little widgets where you can see the mechanism, so that's very a clean look. And then, of course, the 3-megapixel camera and also a LED for flash and for lighting. That camera has an extended depth of field, so it's going to operate a little bit better than your standard smartphone camera. All in all, though, boy, the Pre feels great in the hand. It feels very, very nice. And what you're going to see coming up are a bunch of clips from our interview with Palm to talk about the Pre and the design philosophy behind it, and a little bit about the OS. It's kind of a smorgasbord of the sort of stuff we thought you guys might be interested in hearing about the Pre. So keep watching. You know, you guys had the nice wood paneling in the display, and invisible UI, and see what the word natural comes up. It looks like a little pebble, but you don't want to say that because it'll remind people of Motorola. What made you guys decide to go with something rounded instead of something, I don't know, hard or sleek or metal? It's kind of just a pebble, I guess. Why did you decide?
Yeah, or a river stone, something because it's kind of washed away, and so it's all rounded on the edges. Our industrial design team really wanted to focus on, we wanted to make something new that nobody has seen before. I mean, all these products, basically, most products are inspired by something else and then in a previous product, and we really wanted to say, well, let's take a step back and say, what can you make this thing look different, but most importantly, how do we make it feel really good in the hand? And so rounded edges are what make it feel really good in the hand. And this sort of curved slider obviously makes it really feel good when you hold it up to your head. We could have put a bigger display on the device, but then it wouldn't have been as good as a phone. And it's got to be a great phone, obviously, as well.
Right.
And so that's some of the things that we really wanted to focus on, is how do we create a great web experience, but also a great phone experience as well. You see on the details, for example, you see most sliders today, you see all kinds of the detents and all the mechanical functions here. It's all clean. This stuff is really hard to do. It's all these little details are what make it really difficult. I'd say in the past year and a half, from a hardware perspective, we've hired a lot of engineers that are really first-class all-stars that we haven't really been able to recruit before. The advent of bringing John Rubinstein on board. A lot of people have come to work with him. And so it's given us another level of folks to be able to design products that we probably didn't have that capability a year and a half ago.
Right.
But the design itself, the element was really to be very natural, organic look, feel really good in the hand, and maintain that one-handed operation. Just be nice, clean, simple.
So this card deck thing seems to be a way to deal with handling multitasking in a way that's intuitive and natural, and you can actually manage your apps. But I mean, if someone doesn't ever get around to closing their applications, and they've just got a million cards, do you stop things in the background, or how do you?
Yeah, at some point it'll start closing gracefully stuff that you haven't opened. I don't know the exact algorithm of how it works or what it's going to close when.
Okay.
But to be frank, I've been using this device for a little while. and I've yet to have enough cards open where I had any kind of problem. And all the cards are live, right? So that if you have an app, a web app open and it's pushing new data and it's refreshing, like for example, sports scores or what have you, it'll be live and keep refreshing it. And there's I'm not going to get into details how much RAM there is. There's a fair bit of RAM in the device.
Okay, so you won't talk about the processor, the RAM.
Other than say it's a TI OMAP processor.
TI OMAP processor. How about battery life?
We haven't gotten the details of exact battery life because right now we're in the final stretches of developing the product, so we don't have sort of the final numbers. But because this platform was developed from the ground up for smartphones, we've spent a lot of time on power management, and so the battery life is quite good.
One of the ways to think about that too is when you look at Centro, you look at the 800W, they're all well above our averages for battery life.
Okay.
But there are dependency based on how many cars are loaded up, how many services are connected to the cloud as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because there are data pushing in now. So if you've got 20 cards open,
it's small bits of data that are going to those cards. It's not like video.
So there are control built into where it does just-in-time information come in and out. It's not just the connection is constantly open.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to kind of put it in a different perspective, I don't know what would happen if you had 5 or 8 cards open with YouTube 8 videos running. Pretty much it's going to, at some point, just have the one that you're watching open and the rest of them will just basically be paused.
You mind if I ask him about the touch display? Is it capacitive?
It's capacitive. Mm-hmm. And then, you can, for example... Oops.
Sure. Right. And then there's...
Right.
Flash support?
YouTube?
No.
We didn't see anything mentioned about YouTube either.
Not yet.
So you're not saying no. You're just not
right.
saying.
I'm just not saying.
Commenting on those two things.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've had trouble in the past with Palm OS applications that don't behave well, and they crash the device, and people call in support, and they can't figure out what's wrong, and we can't figure out what's wrong.
Right.
It's some app that wasn't developed properly. So we still intend to have a very open platform, but the one thing that we want to make sure is that those apps were developed properly, and they're signed, and they go through our app store, so that they work.
What was the logic behind using this as a gesture as well?
Let me just take this from just a second. So one of the things that we wanted to make sure was to enable to continue the hallmarks of having one-handed operation. And so one of the ways to do that is like, how do I get to a launcher easily? How do I get to my quick launch application on another app easily? So that was one of the things we want to do with that gesture area. That's also partly why this device is the size that it is. We could have made a bigger device with a bigger display, but then it's not good when you hold it up to your head. It's not, you can't really use it one-handed. So we wanted to maintain some of those trio aspects of ringer switch, one-handed operation, that you can use it open or close, but that gesture area just allows you to do some of those one-handed things.
Because pairing is such a pain.
Yeah, so here's
So
I've done
Bluetooth.
a couple of times. It's pretty darn quick.
Is it pretty darn quick?
Oh, look at that! You can just select the device you want to hook it up to.
Yeah, sorry, whoops.
So there.
Should be
I
connected
watched
now.
it from scratch just the other day, and I was really impressed.
Okay. Because it's very important moving forward because a lot of people are connecting their mobile devices to other devices.
It's been a long time coming for a Palm product to have A2DP. And then here, this is that notification area. Here's the controls for the notification area.
Will this little glowy white, this is kind of where you're touching dot, be in the final? Mm-hmm. What made you decide to put that in there?
I don't actually know. Other than just, it's kind of a neat effect.
The frustrations with Windows Mobile and also with the Palm OS is people waiting for newer versions of the operating system updates, the difficulty of ROM updates, and so on. As you know, on the iPhone, those sort of updates are very easy to do, very easy to set up. Apple takes care of it pretty well. Will you guys be issuing significant updates to the OS after launch, or is it sort of the way it is with the Trios now?
No, we're
set it,
not.
forget it.
Gone is the plug it in and do a ROM update. Everything's to be done over the air.